Aloha. You are listening to the Rolling Vets podcast, a podcast by veterans for veterans and civilians alike. I am Lucas Monster, co-host, and I am flanked by my Marine veteran peer, Aaron Pata. We would like to extend an invitation to you, the listener, to journey inside of our realm to discover what it means to be a rolling vet. And Chris is, doing Chris things right now in Pittsburgh, going to Pittsburgh to watch them probably lose on Monday night. And you just traveled back home for the holidays, right?
Yeah. I'm currently in Michigan. You can tell by the alternate setup.
Yeah. Did
And
you
if the
fly?
mic
Did you
doesn't-
fly out there?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. How was that?
Actually, there's a funny story there. I took Spirit Airlines. 10 out of 10, do not recommend.
I thought that was a given.
Nah, dude. Like my co-pilot went on strike while I was in Nevada. I was like making a layover in Vegas. So I got this nice setup, a dope suite in like Vegas, like on the strip. And they said, yeah, have fun for a day. Like, they scheduled me with a Delta flight the very next day. I was like, I can't ask for more.
Yeah.
So did some exploring out there. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. That city is like, there's something about it that just makes you want to go back. Like living there, I feel like it's just got a weird vibe. I don't know how to explain it. It makes you want to commit sin and debauchery, and I'm all about that. So
because it's highly encouraged.
Yeah.
It's highly encouraged.
I made $400 at the blackjack table.
Okay.
Lost 80 on slots and came out with like an extra $320. I was like, oh,
yeah, not bad. Yeah, not too shabby, especially when you're coming home for the holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you go home last year for the holidays or no?
Last year I was home, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But, how's it different from going back now that you're basically living in California? You were born in California, correct?
Yeah, I was born, but I didn't spend very much time there.
Do you have a whole lot of family in Cali?
The dad lives up in Cali.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm visiting my mom here, and she, dude, this town has not changed since I was in high school. It's still the same one stoplight. You got the same like 3 restaurants. You got the same middle school, high school. Like the high school's got the gym. Like,
yeah, dude, I feel the same way. I went to a high school football game about a couple months ago where one of my old like football coach, he texted me, he was like, hey, we're doing like a veterans like appreciation, like military appreciation night, and he's like, I want you to come. He's like, I'm inviting anyone who played for me and that served or is currently serving to come, and it was only like 3 or 4 guys, like wasn't really a whole lot of us. And I was like, fuck it, I haven't been up there in a minute. I'm only like an hour and a half, 2 hours away. And let's just go check it out, dude. And oh my God, bro, it was the exact same, like from when I left like years and years and years ago. Like, and there's like that, I wouldn't say like it's a vicious cycle, but there's like a cycle in which like, all my friends now are old enough to like obviously go to bars and stuff like that. So they're going to the same bars that their parents frequent. And and then eventually like their kids are going to be doing the same thing, going to the same places, and it's still very like that, like you said, like that tight knit kind of like small town atmosphere where like shit doesn't really change a whole lot, and when it does, when it's like a minor change, it's like a big deal, but like still the same old drama, and I don't miss it at all, like at all.
Dude, and it's crazy because like I remember seeing some kids that like I went to high school with, and they're still working like at the grocery store,
yeah,
like, right in the one store, or like they're still working at those same. And I feel like going up to them sometimes, just like shaking them, like, "Yo, like do something, man, get out of here!" Like, there's so much more, but like I guess some people are content with just being
comfortable.
Yeah,
they're content with being comfortable, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I mean, but I think it's because we have been able to unlock a portion of like our mind, in which we were pushed to literally like our absolute brink on a lot of occasions, whether it was like mentally, spiritually, physically. Like we were pushed to a point where we thought we couldn't go anymore, and then forced to go farther than that. And not a lot of people obviously are either trained or have the ability, though I think everyone has the ability to do it. I don't think a lot of people know that they can do it. So it is a little scary, man, to stop working at a place that like you know everyone there. You've been working there for years. Like it is kind of scary to like branch out and and do new things, like try a new job or go back to school. Like, how are people going to look at me when I go back to school? Like, I felt the same way when I got out. Like, when I'm going to be like a fucking 23-year-old freshman, 24-year-old freshman, like in a class with a bunch of people that just graduated high school. And some people in my classes were still in high school. You know, they were taking the dual enrollment stuff. And I was like, oh man, like, what the fuck? Like, what am I doing? But yeah, I mean, luckily I didn't travel at all for these holidays. I just kind of stayed in Maryland, you know, busy time. That's the like we were just talking about earlier, was the like retail. That's the bad thing about retail, is like during the school, like it's just dead as fuck, dude, working at GameStop. Like there's, you know, I go in, you know, I usually work like 2 days a week, and it's just a very chill, very slow shift. And then you get like finals, and then you're like cranking those out. And as soon as final ends, you're like, oh, I could breathe. Like my semester's over. And then it's like, bam, like here's retail, like the busiest time of year. Like now you're working every single day. And I'm like, damn, I can't catch a fucking break around here with that
I mean,
shit.
you don't have to worry about hours with that though, right? Or you do
Uh,
have to what, like work with temps, right?
well, yeah, luckily, so a lot of the seasonal people that we hire are not really that bad. I never really have to worry about hours in particular, but I mean, the one thing about GameStop, in which a lot of people have a problem with, like employee wise, is like you can get hired and like never like work ever, because
Mhm.
it all depends on your store location and how much money it brings in, and that's how much hours they're allowed to give to people. So if you're in a fucking shitty like location, and maybe you just have a shitty staff, like shitty management or whatever, and they just suck, you know, and they're not really pulling in a whole lot of money, but they're pulling in just enough to stay open pretty much. Like you're probably going to have like two or three people that are working practically all the time, and not really much of anybody else working at all. And then it obviously it takes so long. Like when the holidays finally roll around, and you're like, okay, like I finally bring this person on. This person basically forgot everything they were fucking trained to do, because of the fact they haven't worked in so long. And that's just kind of been like a quarrel that a lot of people have when working for GameStop, is like, hey, like I got hired and I get no fucking hours. And it's like, you can't help it. You really can't help it. It's, you know, they're only given a certain amount of hours every single week for payroll, and you can't blow it. And then they get on your ass if you come like below it also. So it's it's a real pain in the ass. But you know, it's just, for me, it's just an easy job to do, like while I'm in school, while I'm using the GI Bill and whatnot. And
For
then
sure.
yeah, it just fucking, and having that job during the holiday season, like I'm like, next year, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not fucking working a retail job next holiday season, because I've had to work on Thanksgiving. And so we were the only big box retailer that's open on Thanksgiving. And then, you know, come in for Black Friday. Black Friday always sucks. And then we had extended hours on Christmas Eve, which was like, we were open before anybody on Christmas Eve, and then we closed later than everybody on Christmas Eve. So I was just like, soulless fucking corporation. Um, and I'm just sick of like, I would have just stayed in, bro. I would have just stayed in if I wanted to miss my family and not go to anything like family wise. Like I would have just fucking re-enlisted, and just stayed in, to be honest with you.
That's like shitty, dude.
Yeah.
I've been over here bored out of my mind, so I don't know.
Yeah, what do
I
you
don't
do
know
when
which
you
one.
when you go home? That's like a big thing too. It's like it's always nice to go home, but then every time I went home, it was like, dude, there's nothing to fucking do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly. But like with that though, I got my cousin visiting from Canada, so it's a lot of showing him around. Also, my town's like 20 minutes away from East Lansing, so
Hmm.
MSU campus. So like there's a couple bars out there. There's like a bowling alley, there's some laser tag, but like once you do it, right? Like that's it. You know, like
Yeah.
what where do we go from there?
Yeah, I totally get that.
Um, so I'm super stoked that I'm leaving. I leave Monday to go back
Mm.
home. So I'm super stoked to get back in San Diego.
Yeah.
Let's get back to my setup, back to my area.
You know who
Uh,
you should hit up, who's also in San Diego now, who just hit me up
who,
yesterday? Marrero.
who? Morero's out there?
Doc Marrero. Yeah. So he when he left Hawaii,
Yo.
him and his wife got stationed somewhere in Texas, and now they're
Yeah.
now he's back in San Diego.
Yo, all right.
Yeah,
We're gonna send
yeah,
you pictures. I
yeah.
saw Rivera met up with Doc Molina
Really?
in yeah, in New York.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I was hoping we could get them on one of these days.
Yeah, yeah. I actually, so
If
I,
anybody could
yeah,
if
yeah,
anybody could understand Molina.
yeah. Yeah, so I actually was taking people's emails and I'm sending them out like basically like invitations. And I even have like a little questionnaire for them to answer. And then after they send that in, I know we had one of Chris's friends, Mahone, was just calling by his first name, Jack. He's very interested, and I know him personally as well. Like he was in the comm shop at 3-3, and he already got back to me and stuff like that. So at that point, it's just finding like some dates to like really like hammer down, and then to have like that availability for all of us to at least be there, and kind of just like really talk to these guys. So like that's one thing now that I have some like free time now, something I'm gonna like really hammer down on and be like more disciplined about it, you know. So, but yeah, I mean,
Discipline.
yeah, discipline, put some discipline in my fucking body and then get these people on here, you know, and then obviously try to get all three of us on here again because our schedules are so fucking crazy because we're all adulting and living life
Yeah.
and stuff now.
The
Um,
last episode I think I missed, right?
yeah.
And yeah, so we're just balancing it out. Next episode you're gonna be gone.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You and Chris, yeah, you and Chris will do an episode without me. I'll just go fuck myself.
Agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, to have those guys on would be great. But yeah, Morero texted me yesterday because him and I used to watch college football a lot together. And I
Hmm.
used to be a really big Georgia Bulldogs fan. My
No,
dad just
you were not.
yeah, my dad just raised me up on the Georgia Bulldogs. I don't know why. He never went to Georgia. He never like I don't know why. He was just a big Notre Dame Georgia fan. And so I grew up being a really big Georgia fan, and Georgia was like my dream school at one point. Even our
Dude, they
old,
crushed. Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
they crushed Michigan, yeah, and then,
They
but
crushed U
even,
of M.
yeah, even our own, our old CO, Captain Long, he went to UGA,
Yeah.
and I was talking to him about it, and he was like, "Dude, I'll write you like a recommendation letter if you need me to, you know, as an
Yeah.
alumni and as your officer or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah," I was like, "I'll think about it." Obviously ended up not going there, but uh, and that the last time we watched it, it must have been like 2017, 2018 was a game, and they were playing Bama, and I believe it was in the SEC championship. And I told Morero, I was like, bro, like this happens every single year. We have a phenomenal season and we'll play Bama and just get absolutely fucking spanked. And then that'll be the end of the season. And it happens. We're always so close to winning the national championship, and then Bama will come and just fuck everything up. And and when that happened, we were watching the game and we were kicking Bama's ass like in halftime. And I told him, I was like, dude, this always happens. We always kick their ass in the first half, and they come back and just wipe the like mop the floor with us in the second half. They did exactly that. And I told him, I was like, dude, this is the last fucking Georgia game I'm ever gonna watch. I'm so sick of it. It's like Groundhog's Day. And he texted me yesterday. He was like, "Go Dogs!" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not watching the game, nor have I seen a game since I swore to you that I would never watch a game ever again." So I stayed true to my word of never watching Georgia football after that because of how disappointing. And guess who's going to be putting in the national championship? It's going to be Bama
Alabama
and
and
Georgia.
Georgia.
So,
Yeah. So a funny story on that. My cousin, my little cousin, who lives like 10, 15 minutes away from me, he actually goes to U of M.
okay.
So me and my older cousin I was visiting from Canada were like, yo, we got all these U of M fans here. We have no representation for Georgia. So we were rooting for Georgia the whole time. He got so pissed, bro. He left. He left the room.
Yeah, it was like 27-3 at halftime or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And it
was
got
fucking
worse.
yeah, it was a stomping, and I was like, oh, dude. I was like, well, I'm glad I'm not watching it because at that point it could be pretty boring. But I've always like ever since then I just focused really, really narrowly focused on the NFL. And this season,
Mm.
love to brag about it. I'm
The
finally in.
books.
Yeah, well, not only the Bucks winning last season, which is a big deal to me. Like from being in the service, like going from like living in Hawaii and then being deployed and like never like having a full season where I could just sit down and watch every single game that I want. So that was like finally like I got to do that last season, and then the Buccaneers won, which is like I was like, damn, like this is fucking karma, like in a good way, coming back to me. Like I missed all those games and we sucked for all those years, and finally when I get to sit down and watch all these games, we you know we win it all. And but then like this year, like doing fantasy football, like I made it to the championship in both the leagues that I'm in. So I'm like, damn, there's no way I'm losing money this year on fantasy football like I do every year. So that's a big deal too.
Nice.
Especially around this time of year, because a lot of the people that are in my fantasy leagues, I do one with Lepercio, and I do usually one with I'm sure you remember Champney.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good dude.
and his cousin Chris, the army guy, he was in the army.
I didn't meet his cousin Chris.
You never met Chris?
No, I was towards the end, like right when he was about to leave is kind of whenever I started actually meeting Champion, remember?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Chris,
Same thing with Morera. He and I didn't hang out till like way later.
yeah. Chris, there's so many Chris's, but this particular Chris, he served in the army. I believe he went to Iraq maybe once or twice.
Okay.
And he was actually living. There's a funny story between him and Champney because they're cousins, and he was actually living in Hawaii, working in like the Wall Street district of like Honolulu. He worked for like Merrill Lynch and Prudential, like doing just finance stuff. And the reason that they found out that they were both in Hawaii was because Chris got like locked up for something and needed like to get bailed out, and then he found out like talking to his family that Mike was also out there. So he called Mike. He's like, dude, I know I haven't seen you in years, but can you bail me out of jail right now? And that's how they kind of figured out that they were both in Hawaii at the same time.
What do you do?
It was like a bar fight. He was in a bar fight or
Oh
something
yeah,
like
you know
that. Yeah.
that's respectable. We allow it.
Yeah, dude, he was a party animal, dude. Him and I used to get down
That's
all the
dope.
time. Yeah, he was really cool. And there were some times where he was getting like testy with people also, and I was like, oh, maybe it's time to go home.
Yo,
But
this one. All right, do I tell the story?
which
The story
story?
of how I randomly came across you in Honolulu and you were screaming at this
You
guy.
you may tell this story
All right, all right. So here I am, like what, 2 o'clock in the morning, minding my own business in Honolulu,
on Lure
uh,
Street.
on Lure Street. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I had just met Moss. Like he and I had met maybe like a month ago. Like we were in the same unit for all 4 years or 3 years,
Mm.
but we didn't start hanging out until I think
Until you basically
what,
got the
2 years ago?
headquarters platoon. So at
Yeah.
the tail end of our first deployment is when we started like, hey, like this is going to be the new headquarters platoon. We need you guys in there to start basically training up before the new workup and the next
Right.
deployment. So then that's when we're around each other a lot more often, is when we started hanging out and stuff.
Yeah. And this was right after I think you bought me my first legal beer in
That was
Hawaii.
before
So
you weren't of age yet.
oh, that's
That's
right.
why I
That's right.
was so confused that you were down there, because you were only 20. You were still only 20. And at
That's
2
right.
a.m. on Lure Street, and you had like shopping bags with you. I'm like, what the fuck? What is open at 2 a.m. and you have shopping bags?
The ABC store.
Yeah, but
The
no, you
ABC
had
store.
like, it was like not just ABC bags. It was like because there was a bunch of retailers and stuff on that street.
Oh,
You
I
had
spent the night
retail
at
bags.
Hard Rock Cafe. I spent the night
Oh,
at the Hard
okay.
Rock Cafe. Yeah, yeah, I remember that. And then they have a little hotel too. Anyways, so I'm walking down and I hear someone screaming, like just like mad as hell, like going off on someone. I'm like, oh, here goes another fight. But I was like, wait a second, I recognize that voice. And from across the street, I see Moss knife handing, like I don't even know who, like 3 or 4 other dudes. And I feel like he's about to like kill this guy. What were the words? What'd you say? It was like, I'm gonna
There were
bury
a lot of
you.
words. Yeah, there were a lot.
There
I
were
was gonna
lots
bury
of
them underneath the streets of Waikiki, and I was like, 1,000 tourists are gonna walk over your dead body and not even know it.
words.
But there's a lot of
Right, no, I don't at all.
precursor to these events. I was like upset that night, um, because I had met this woman like prior through Marrero, actually. So Marrero and his wife had gone out one night, and they were my roommates at the time in Honolulu. and they came back and they were like talking up like these girls that they met or whatever. And I was like, cool, whatever. And then we ended up going to a club, and I ended up meeting one of them. And I was really like being very adamant about like taking her out like on a date or whatever. And so
Right.
we were basically like kind of like in those talks. Unbeknownst to me, she was, I think, kind of like already sort of in a relationship, maybe with some dude from like the Air Force or something. I don't remember. I just remember her like she was like, this is back in like what, 2018. She was sending me like these kind of like risque photos, like nothing, like she wasn't like sending me nudes or anything, but she was like, she's like, hey, like I can't wait to see you tonight, like all this stuff, because I invited her out to come out with us. We were all going to go out and just, you know, go bar hopping and go clubbing and whatnot. And she's like sending me all these photos, right? And I'm like, oh, cool, like awesome, like this is amazing, you know, like it feels good to be a man right now. And then she's like, oh, I'm gonna bring some friends with me. Like, I'm like, okay, cool, like doesn't matter, like we're all just gonna go out, have a good time. So we meet at Moose's that night. um and she, I shit you not, bro, walks in with a dude, like walks in with her one friend that I met before, and then she walks in with a dude that was like her date for that night. And I'm like very
What?
fucking confused about this whole situation. I'm like, how are you sending me these photos? And it wasn't like a mistake. It wasn't like she was unintentionally sending me these photos. Like she was intentionally sending me these photos. And then like proceeded to bring a dude with her. I was like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So I just went from like, you know, calm, cool, collected to very petty. I got really petty in a heartbeat. And I just totally ignored her. And she got really upset that I was ignoring her. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And she's like, well, he's like my date, like blah, blah. And I'm like, what the fuck is going? I was so confused.
You brought a
And
date to a date.
yeah, I brought a date to, I mean, kind of like, I guess it wasn't like a date, but like, it was just like an outing. Like I wanted you to be like, kind of like my companion for the night. Like I wasn't expecting it late or anything. It was just a matter of just like, hey, like, this is a step like before we go hang out by ourselves kind of thing.
So
Um,
how does that turn into you yelling at some guy and telling him you're
so
gonna pair?
so I was in a pretty decent group of guys anyways. A lot of them from the comm shop in 3-3. So a lot of my comm buddies. And um so they're buying drinks. They're like, she's at the bar, he's like standing behind her, and they ordered like shots or something. And like at this point, it's like still pretty early in the night. It's like 10, maybe even 9, and this is Moose's, so it's like not even like really packed yet. And
Right.
she's like got both the shots, and she's like handing one over her shoulder, and then I shoulder checked the dude when he was grabbing it, and he spills his shot all over her, and she spills all her shot like all over the bar. And I was like, yeah, fuck you guys. I'm like walking out, and all I hear, dude, I swear to God, it was like the music stopped. She's like, Lucas, what the fuck? And I just gave her like the Michael Jordan shrug and just like walked out. So I'm in like a bad mood. And I'm never really like, when I used to drink, I was never really used to getting up like a bad mood. Like I was never really like an angry drunk. I used to have like a couple episodes where like, okay, like you definitely crossed the line. And because I'm intoxicated, I have that liquid courage, you know, and whatnot. But it came down to like a couple hours later, we're leaving. We're standing outside. One of my good friends, and my sergeant at the time, his wife was like our DD, and she was like meeting us downstairs, and we're just standing on Lewis Street enjoying ourselves. I'm still a little rubbed the wrong way about the whole situation. I feel like I was kind of letting it get to me more than it should have. And we're standing there. It's like me and a couple of my friends, and we're just shooting the shit. And this dude is like trying to go into Kelly's, I think. And
Okay.
we're just waiting on my other groups of friends to like close out their tabs, and we're going home. And he turns around and he looks at us and he goes, which one of you motherfuckers just grabbed my girlfriend's ass? And we're all like, what? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, dude, I was like, we were just standing right here, bro. Nobody grabbed your girl's ass. And he got like really, really confrontational. And he comes up to us. He's like, no, like, I know one of you guys did it. Was just like accusing him. Obviously, like he's had some drinks. And I just straight up told him, because I was in a bad mood. I was like, dude, no one grabs your girlfriend's ass. And two, nobody wants to grab her ass anyways. Like, look at her. And I said that to him, and he got like he got really, really
I'd be
upset.
pissed too.
Yeah, he
Was it
got
like
really
his wife?
upset. And then just started yelling things
Oh,
at me, and then that I got defensive, and that's when I was like, dude, like I'll fucking like end you right here. Like I'm not in the mood tonight. I just had a lot to drink, so I'm more likely to do something stupid. And I just like the more I was talking, the more I was just like all this like frustration,
getting
pent up
heated.
frustration. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just getting more and more. And I'm like knife handing this dude. My friends are like holding me back. And it turned
No,
out he was like in the Navy. The dude was like a Navy guy. Because he reported me to like NCIS.
I heard about
Yeah,
that.
for like death threats. So because I was basically threatening to fucking kill him and whatnot.
I
And
mean, you were threatening a little more than just killing,
well, yeah,
if I remember correctly.
I was definitely
And then
using the most colorful of languages out there
I
available.
remember spotting you across the street, and I was like, "Oh!" And I'm pretty sure you were balling up a fist or something. And I remember coming up to you. There's two guys holding you back. They're like, "Who is this guy?" And I was like, "Boss, Lucas! Like, stop,
Yeah.
stop!"
And
And
you
I like
calmed me
drag
down
you
immediately
away.
because I was more shocked. I'm like, wait, where the fuck did you come from? I was like, you were not with us tonight. Like, and you had like the shopping bags. I'm like, where am I right now? Like, what is going on? Just kind of
It's like
had some
you throw a
clarity.
Pokeball.
Yeah,
You need to
exactly.
throw a Pokeball. Like I come out of the bush, a wild Pata has appeared.
Yeah, yeah. And it was pretty yeah, it was pretty intense in that situation. And then yeah, you being there actually like calmed me down because it was more of like out of confusion. I was just like, what are you doing here right now at this time of night with those shopping bags? Like it's pretty crazy. But yeah, all in all, the NCIS actually interviewed because that was a crazy night. Like the bouncers at Kelly's fought. One of the bouncers fought the at Kelly's fought a bouncer at Moose's, two bars right across the street from each other.
I
And
remember that.
yeah, and then my buddy Lou Berzio tried to go up and pay his tab, but the bouncer wouldn't let him. Thought he was like just trying to skip the line and not pay like a cover charge, and go up there.
Uh-huh.
And like when he came down, was
He
like
choked
had him.
Lupercio out.
Yeah, he had him in a fucking chokehold.
Yeah,
Had him in a chokehold.
I
So I'm like,
remember hearing
you're
about
like
that.
holding me back from like fighting this dude. And you and like
Lupercio's getting choked out.
I
The
think it was
charges
like
are
Denny
going
and
up.
yeah, I think it was like Denny and Monty were also there like holding
Oh.
me back. And and then and
And
meanwhile
you're turning
Lupercio's
around.
getting choked out. Yeah.
Dude, you take two steps away, we almost round the corner, and then you go sprinting back, and I'd be like, "No, Luke,
Yeah.
like stop,
Yeah,
man!"
because he would say
And
something
like, meanwhile,
stupid. Yeah.
oh yeah, you guys were going back and forth, and like the girlfriend, I think, was like, "I really fucked up," so she's trying to get her man away,
Yeah.
because she knows nothing happened, right? She's
Yeah.
just trying to start some shit.
Yeah.
And then after that, she starts talking back too. And I
Yeah.
just see this little chick coming over here. I was like, okay, okay. Like, obviously, you don't see all these tall ass motherfuckers right now. Like, you really want to start some shit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it was so bad.
Yeah. So luckily,
There was like seven of us, because I think some other guys joined in too, and
mm,
like two of them or three of them. And I'm like, dude,
yeah.
like math. It's not hard.
Yeah. Luckily nothing
Oh
ever came to the situation because NCIS ended up
no.
investigating into it and they found Lupercio and they found my buddy, my Sergeant Arco. And
Mhm.
Arco and Lupercio, NCIS like interviewed them, and luckily because they're real homies, they were like, "Oh, I don't even know who that person was that was yelling. Like he was just hanging out with us that night. Like didn't say like, oh, that was fucking Corporal Moss. Like he's fucking get his ass.
Like, you
Yeah.
just showed up, man.
Yeah, so yeah, they when they interviewed them, they had my back, and nothing ever fucking came of it, which was good news. But yeah, man, that was not one of my finer moments in life was that altercation basically. But I mean a lot of shit happened on Lewis Street and in Honolulu. I have guys that come in to GameStop when I'm working, and they some of them were stationed out in Hawaii, and they talk about that shit all the time. They're like, "Yo, so what's still out there? Like, what's not out there anymore?" And I was like, "Dude, so much has changed since I left, and it's only been 2 years coming up now, which is crazy to think about, dude. 2 fucking
Yeah.
years. It does not feel it's been 2 years at all.
That's right. No,
Yeah,
2 years?
yeah, like
No, because I got out
2022.
in August.
Well, yeah, you're coming up, and on August will be 2 years. I got out in
Yeah.
April, so I'm coming up on 2 years of being out, which is
See, that's crazy.
yeah. Which I mean, Chris and I talked about a little bit about this on the last episode, I was kind of hoping we could talk about it too. Is like
Yeah.
how has it been those 2 years, like coming up on those 2 years? So for right now, I guess for you it'd be like a year and a half almost. Like what's some of the like the changes you see within yourself? What are some of the things that some hardships that you've encountered, some kind of like roadblocks, some obstacles that you've come across
Dude,
since getting out?
I'm gonna be honest, dude. Like looking back at it, like I always think, man, at least like so for hardships, right?
Mm,
It doesn't really affect me too much because I always think about, man, like I'm gonna wake up, I got a hot shower waiting for me. Just these cliche things. Like I got a bed to
yeah,
sleep in. Like, and everything that's bad just seems less bad, if that
yeah.
makes sense.
It makes perfect
Like,
sense.
and it's really I think the biggest thing for me, and I think I talked about this a little bit, is how selfish people are on the other side. Like owning a business, right? Like they will do the very minimums to still get paid. And like, yeah, we had that in the Marine Corps too, but not to this extent,
Yeah,
you know? And then the first chance they got to throw you under the bus, the first chance they have to just, it's all about them. It's me, my, all the time. Like, and it's really sad. It's sad more than
yeah,
anything to
yeah,
see. Like there's just no I wouldn't even say camaraderie. There's just no like there's nothing that holds people together, you know? There's
yeah,
nothing that
yeah.
binds them.
I really thought that
And
that COVID would be that thing. I really, I for and I kind of like have similar thoughts with Joe Rogan. Obviously, he has a very popular podcast, but he was talking to, I think it was Dakota Meyer. He was either talking to Dakota Meyer or someone. I think it was Dakota Meyer, and he was speaking about like how he believed that COVID would be like a 9/12. Like 9/11 was obviously pretty bad, but then like the day after, like everyone just kind of like rallied together and like we're like, hey, like there's a problem here that is bigger than ourselves, and we should really work together to do that. But
but
it's been
instead
the
it's
exact
dividing this.
yeah, it's been the exact opposite. And I kind of like feel like if we had that same kind of like collectivism like that we have in the Marine Corps, like in the real life, dude, obviously everything like ideally would be a lot better. Like I think about it as if, and I had an Uber driver the other day that I was speaking with kind of like about this, and he's from another country. I can't remember which country, but and he was talking about like the collectivism, like individualism in the United States, and I was like, yeah, I was like here in the United States, I was like anywhere else you go in outside the country, if there's a house on fire on your block, majority of the time it like your whole community is going to be out there like helping you out, like with buckets of water, like doing anything to help you out. Here
Right.
everyone
Watch it
just,
burn.
yeah, people just pull out their fucking phones, and it's like what the fuck, like it's fucking crazy, dude. They just like, hey, like let me not help put this fire out that's like like literally hurting the life of not only like the person's whose house is on fire, but the community around it. Like other houses could catch and stuff like that. But people
Property
are more
value goes
willing.
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So it's a different breed out here, man. And it gets fucking frustrating.
It's
It gets
sad.
absolutely frustrating.
Yeah, dude, and I feel like if they hadn't made COVID so political, it wouldn't have divided this country. I feel like it would have brought us together.
Mhm.
In my opinion, I feel like the whole point, like the whole stance of making COVID a political thing instead of like an actual crisis, a pandemic thing, really solidified this country being split in half. Because
Yeah,
it is split in half right now. Like we
yeah,
saw the last pollings on the last presidential election. Like I don't want to go like into politics here, but it's sad that it has become a political stance instead of a healthcare issue,
yeah,
a medical issue.
yeah,
Um, so that's my 2 cents.
yeah. And then
Um,
with that, you comes, not only the added hardships that are pretty much given whenever you EAS, you get out and you're adjusting to civilian life, but you have that pressure. You have the toxic political climate that's going on right now, and then you have like the actual like your everyday life being very impacted by something like COVID. So how like what are some things that's kind of like really helped you? Have you like picked up any hobbies? Have you done something, just maybe just try to be better to yourself in some shape, way, or form that's kind of helped you along those lines?
Picked up cryptocurrency exchange,
Okay.
day trading. Um, I actually had a buddy write an algorithm for a bot and turned 1,200 into 9,000 a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So, I mean, we're making pretty good progress there. Going to be opening up to investors. So, if anybody watching the channel or even you wants to put in, now is the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so what's
Just hit me up.
you're kind of creating your own version of a cryptocurrency? Is that what's going on?
No, so actually, what we're doing is we're doing graph analyzation. So basically, what this bot does is it picks up patterns, and instead of gambling in day trading, right, gambling in
Yeah.
stocks, it does I guess graph analysis.
Okay.
And as long as you can see the trends for the past like 20 years, right, for
Mm.
most of these stocks. And if you see a similar chart, a similar graph, more than likely it's going to stay true, right,
Yeah.
um
To the pattern.
exactly to
Yeah.
patterns of the past. So by realizing, hey, like this stock, yes, it's dropping right now, but in the past it's done this. Like a year ago in November, this is what it showed. Put in money at the bottom, cash out at the top, easy day. And usually you get like 2 or 3 good graphs per day. So it's about like finding those, getting those, but very time consuming, very meticulous.
Yeah.
Um,
Which the bot
that in
helps you out
addition to
with, like,
running.
kind of like the meticulous aspect of it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then like having a lot of downtime is nice too. Because running my business from here is showing me like, hey, you guys are capable of, taking care of shit. I don't need to, be all up
Micromanage. Yeah.
in your business. I'll just spot check. Exactly. I hate micromanaging. Like there's no
Mm.
point. If I wanted to micromanage, I would just run the whole store myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
There would be
no.
no need for a manager at that
But
point,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, it's all working out.
Yeah. Yeah. So you picked up basically something to keep you like really focused, and time
Something keep
consuming.
me
Yeah.
focused, something that time consuming, that makes money. And I actually took a little bit of time off on streaming. I used to stream quite a bit. I don't think I've streamed like a month now,
Really? Why is
month and a
that?
half. Just because this was my new focus, right?
Yeah.
But I'm
And
gonna
this
get
is
back
this
into
is
it.
this is your
Um,
OnlyFans you're talking about, right?
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Streaming on your OnlyFans. No,
right,
yeah, yeah. We're talking about
exactly.
Twitch stream. We're
You
talking
want to
about
see?
Twitch stream. Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'd look good in some lingerie,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I believe it.
a bearded lady. I got the ponytail and everything. There you
Oh, look at that. Very spiritual. Very spiritual. Have the kind of the
go.
top knot thing going on. So yeah, so cryptocurrency.
Yeah,
And then I know, like you were saying, like, dude, I mean, when we first started this podcast, and even before that, like, you were pretty much streaming like almost every day too. Like, you kind of like
yeah,
implemented it in your schedule, and you just kind of just basically consuming yourself with the things that you like streamed with, such as like League of Legends and other games. Like, that was, you feel like that was kind of like very therapeutic to kind of just really
yeah.
focus on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, it's nice because you make friends from like across the world, right? But
Yeah.
that is no sub, and that's another thing, actually, a big little topic that I want to hit on. It's nice to have, people to speak to, like people around you, even if it's virtually, but that virtual interaction does not mean that you have like that you can cut off all genuine
Yeah.
social interaction, right?
Yeah. Of
Because
course.
even though we're talking right now, our body is not registering like, hey, I'm with a person, right? So
Mm,
you do need to still go out. You do still need to go meet people, even if it's your friends. Hey, like, yeah, stay 6 feet apart, stay whatever, wear masks. Um, but like, make sure your social interaction does not completely drop off, because if it does, you get into a borderline depression state, which can be very, very scary, especially with people in the service, like
yeah.
because that's when your demons come out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? When you got too much time alone with your thoughts, think nobody's with you. Hey, we always got your back. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
reach out to one of your buddies, like say hi, and if you're that buddy, answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pick up
Definitely.
that phone.
Yeah. That's the big thing is avoiding the downtime. It's because that's when I think is the downtime is when you kind of feel like you are a what's the expression, like a square peg in like a circle hole or whatever is what they say.
Yeah.
um so you kind of just feel like the more time you get to sit down and actually like process a lot of these things, and you're like, damn, like I really don't exactly fit in anymore. I'm kind of like in this own like niche kind of community, um with people that obviously understand you, are like fellow veterans and whatnot, but not, you don't meet a whole lot. Depending on where you live, you don't really meet a whole lot. Like luckily for me, in like the Annapolis area in Maryland, you're really close to a naval base, you're really close to an army base at Fort Meade, and you're really close to DC. um and you're not too far. You're like 3-4 hours from Norfolk, which is another naval base. So you're like, you kind of have, and a lot of people that work in DC, or in the surrounding places of DC, you most likely, a lot of them are veterans that they're using their security clearances to do whatever they see fit with the Fed boys usually. So luckily you kind of have
Yeah.
like
No.
that environment, and then you in San Diego must be pretty similar.
Yep. San Diego, big naval base out there, an hour away from Oceanside, Ocean Slime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's just it's nice to be in that area. Like every time I go to Oceanside, just to I don't make it very often, but when I do, going to the bar, or whatever, they're like, "Oh, you're a Marine." It's like, man, nobody out here. Like, if I was stuck out here, I would have lost my mind. I
Yeah.
shit you not, I would have lost my mind. Um, but yeah, it's just nice to be like back in the general area of where people get where you're coming from. You're like, oh, I serve too, and you can share stories. Not you just get each other. It's weird. It's
Yeah.
it's a weird feeling to explain, but I feel like we all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Exactly. And like they speaking of like what you were saying about like the social recharge and your body, being very like proactive about like social communication, about like physical also, is like when you do get to finally meet these people in person and you're speaking to them, like your body language goes like such a long way of knowing like, yeah, like you can see, like I can see people come in, and before I start speaking with them, like when I'm working, um you're talking to them, doing just a typical retail thing, like, hey, like what are you looking for today, how can I help you out? And then when they get closer and you see they're wearing like a retired Navy hat, or like one of the wristbands that people are unfortunate enough to wear and stuff like that, and you're just like, okay, like, or when people like they open up their wallets to pay for something and you can see like an ID, and you're like, they have veteran at the bottom of their picture, or they still have their old military one in their wallet, or they have their VA benefits one. And I always jump on that
yeah,
shit, dude. I'm like, okay, like what's good with you? Like what branch did you serve? Like when did you serve? Where were you at? All this stuff. And like there's like 5-minute conversations
check
that
out our
turn into,
podcast.
yeah, exactly. That turn into like 20-minute conversations. Um and you could just see their body language like just change. Like everything about them just changing. Like, hey, like I get to finally like in a way like talk to
Let
someone,
loose.
yeah, that kind of understands everything. Like not just like the little
Yeah,
aspects of my life, but kind of understands a lot of things that go on with like the very similar mindset and thinking patterns that go along with veterans and whatnot. And it's a very magical thing, I would say, for sure. It's a very important thing. I had actually Monty and Crockmall FaceTime me the other day, and jokingly they were just
that's
like,
dope.
he called me, they FaceTimed me the other day, and I didn't pick up. I was like fucking really busy, and I texted him back. I was like, hey, like I'm just really busy right now. Like I'll get back to you. Then he FaceTimed me again. He was like, yo, we thought we thought you fucking killed yourself. We haven't heard from you in like forever. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm still here. Like just really apologize for not getting back to you. We just fucking just shot the shit for 20 minutes when on my drive home, just talking about, just catching up with each other a little bit. And even that like just small conversation goes like such a long way. Like
Yeah,
we don't have to like you Chris and I, like we're all sitting here and we can have these talks for over an hour. And yeah,
mm,
that fucking helps like tremendously. I think like for me personally, as well as I would hope you guys as well. And but even like just those 5 minute conversations of just like talking to someone like River seeing Melina um or other people like just shooting the shit, like even just a 5 second like text message, sending it back and forth, like okay, like you're all right, you're good, like we're still connected. I've been trying to get a hold of Jim, dude, for like ever, man. He called me at like fucking, dude, it was like 2 in the morning here. And he called me like back to back. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, he's either really drunk and he misses me, or he's like in trouble. And I tried calling him back later that same day. Nothing. Text messages, nothing. Like just a whole bunch of not. I'm like, dude, like now I'm about to put you on code red, bro. Like I'm about to fucking
Right.
like I need to get a
About
hold
to
of
show up at
you.
your house.
Exactly. Like I'm gonna have to fucking fly out to Oregon, like and hunt your ass down. So
Yeah. Jim
uh
is was one of our roommates, good friend of ours, also in
yeah,
headquarters platoon.
yeah.
Good guy.
Great dude. Yeah, great dude.
But yeah,
And him,
no, like I completely agree, dude, because like I remember trying to explain even some basic stuff to my girlfriend, which was not in.
yeah, yeah.
And it's like I could tell you every single aspect of every single day that I was in, but you still wouldn't get it. Like
No,
you would empathize with how hard it was, or you would
yeah.
empathize with how much it sucked. But there's some things you just can't explain unless you were in, right? And it's those underlying feelings that you take away from everything that you've experienced, which is similar to a lot of other people that, served as well. So I think that foundation is the key to understanding one another,
Oh yeah,
And that's
yeah,
why civilians are just it's like nothing against you, like but they'll never understand.
yeah. And maybe the ignorance is bliss for them.
They're ignorant because they can be
Yeah,
because of us, right?
yeah,
Like good, that's a good thing.
yeah. Which is
It
it's
means
a,
we did our job, right?
exactly. Not only that, but like, oh man, I was gonna bring up the Spider-Man movie, but then I realized people might have not seen it.
I haven't
So
seen it yet.
you
I
haven't
haven't
seen
seen
it
it yet.
yet?
No, we
Okay.
went to the theater and they were packed for like the next three viewings. I was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Oh yeah, I saw it like 2 nights ago.
Okay.
I was gonna say something. There's like a part at the ending that's very like very similar to like what we're talking about. But
Okay.
all in all, to not bring up that because I'm not gonna be that guy that spoils shit. But to have, you know, like what you were talking about regarding like them, you can give every single detail and they still wouldn't understand unless they went through it themselves, kind of
Hmm.
thing, is like a very important thing to remember, that when we think about like that experience, like not to take it in like a hostile kind of like,
Yeah.
not to take it too personally, because like when people like, dude, I mean I work with some fucking stupid ass civilians, bro. There's a fucking dude I work with, I'm just like, bro, like I would like, you're lucky that we're both not in uniform right now because I would legitimately be fucking you up. I would have fuck, we both would have dropped blouse right now and I would have beat the shit out of you so that you understood like where I'm coming from, like where your place is, and like all this stuff. And like for you to just do your fucking job. Like I need to beat your ass in order for you to really like, get it in here. So, um, but like not to take that kind of shit like personally because like they didn't go through those things, and I think
Yeah.
that's something that I struggle with very early getting out. Like, you're held to such a standard for so long, even if you're only in for 4 years, like the every day you were, especially in the Marines, you're being judged every day, bro, from the moment, literally the moment you wake up and you roll out of bed, you are being judged whether you fucking made your bed or not, and then whatever color socks you put on for PT formation, and then like how
How
you look.
tight your sleeves were.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like everything, like how close your fucking shave was, like if you got a haircut that week,
Haircut.
like dude,
Yeah.
everything is being evaluated every day. And I used to joke about like First Sergeant Moon about that. Like I was like, I used to call him the fucking RoboCop because like every fucking morning, he'd call like the platoon sergeants up, and he'd be like talking to maybe just talking to some NCOs. But every time I see him for the first time of every day, like whether it was in the morning, afternoon, whatever, every time I saw First Sergeant Moon, for the first time that day. I can see his fucking eyes doing like a mental like checklist of like shave, sleeves, uniform,
Yep.
rank, like all that
Yep.
stuff, just kind of just going through like as I'm being like, hey, good morning, first sergeant. Like, how was your weekend? We just shooting the shit or whatever, or talking about what needs to
Yeah.
get done. I can literally see his eyes like analyzing every aspect of me. And it took me a while to kind of pick it up. But when I picked it up, I confronted him about that. And he like
Uh-huh.
of course like laughed it off. Like he was like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like it's just fucking the second nature. Like it's like it doesn't matter. But that's the thing is like even me, like I wasn't always 100% squared away, but even with some of the other guys who were always like 100% squared away, he would do the same thing to them. And it was just like that was just kind of like the mentality of what it was like in the Marine Corps, and also probably in other branches too, of just like that expectation of every single day, that standard to meet. Like there's no slacking. There's just no room for
Yep.
any
And
slack.
that's when I first found out that I'm always wrong. Like, no matter if I thought one day I tried my hardest. I was like, I'm going to square away every single piece. Nobody's going to be able to
Yeah.
nitpick anything. There was something. There's always something. I'm like, dude, what the fuck?
But
Like,
that
I
goes
cannot
into
win
yeah,
here.
that goes into like there's always room for improvement though.
Exactly.
It's like even though
And
you
that was
met
the
these
biggest
high ass
mistake.
standards, like that's still not enough. It's still not enough.
It's not. Yep. And I was okay with that because I was like, okay, every single time, like I'm getting better. By the time I was getting out, like, yeah, I laxed up on a lot, but I was still more squared away than
Yeah.
whenever the new guys were coming in. So like, I don't know. It's just it took some getting used to. Like this one
Yeah.
guy, this one
And it
kid. I
yeah.
don't remember his name. He was like in his alphas, walking around on his phone, and like in the Marine Corps, you can't have a phone out and walking in,
Yeah. You
even your
can't
regular
walk. You
utilities,
literally
let
can't
alone your
walk and talk at the same time, like on the phone. You can't walk and text. You can't even listen to headphones or anything like walking.
right.
Like
I,
that's
I think the
all.
Army does it differently, but in the Marine Corps, that's how it is.
Mhm.
And especially not an alpha uniform. Like you barely even get to wear those. But when you do, that's the one thing like no Marine will ever not be squared away on is like their
Yeah.
alphas. And
It's the closest
just to
thing
see
to
him
like a
walking
suit and
around like
tie
that,
that you literally have. Like it's the closest thing to
we're
business
talking like
attire.
in formation, walking, marching
Yeah.
with his phone out. I'm like, dude, are you fucking serious right now? Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
I lit that guy up. That's like the only time that I ever went off on someone while I was getting out. Because
Yeah.
like at that point, I really didn't care much. That's not my place. But come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then just thinking back on it, like, yes, I'm lax now, but holy shit, like,
You
was I like that? You know what I mean?
not, but are you really lax though? Because I felt like I was the same way where like, oh, I'm really lax, but like compared, like this goes back to like the civilian aspect of it, like compared to like civilian coworkers or just civilians in general,
Right,
like you may be laxed, but you're still like there's a standard that you need to meet, that you personally need to meet, and that you still hold other people accountable to. And I
right.
like
And
that,
I'm
yeah,
constantly let down.
yeah, and you're confident.
Yeah. Oh man, it's sad to say, but I mean,
Constantly let down,
uh,
dude. You put it fucking perfectly. And I'm not like bashing on people who didn't serve. I'm not just saying like in order for you
no,
to excel or be successful or fucking just be squared away, like you have to serve and then get out and be a civilian. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that there's a level, there's an expectation that you have because you know what people are capable of.
right,
You know that if you just have just a little bit of discipline in your life, just to do just the little things correctly, like you don't have to do, you can still make mistakes. That's totally normal. Even in the Marine Corps, people make mistakes all the fucking time. Like and sometimes, unfortunately it comes at the cost of like other people's lives. Sometimes it comes at the cost of like your personal relationships, like whatever decisions that you make. I feel like they're more amplified in the military, which is why like we definitely pride ourselves on like listening and being grateful about all that stuff. And so taking that expectations, applying it to the civilian life and to your coworkers and whatnot is it's so fucking frustrating because you are indeed repeatedly let down all the fucking time, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't, like I said,
nothing.
I can't drop blouse and fuck up that dude at work. I can't like I can't knife hand
Take him
people.
around the back.
Yeah, I can't knife hand people. I actually have to
Oop,
really
not
tone
allowed to.
everything back, like really, really like have like some patience and self-discipline not to lose my shit, and like use like that kind of professionalism and that tact that you learn in the military, and
Right.
really
But
fucking
this is a good experience too, though, because now you have to control those feelings. Before, you could just unleash like a cannon, like boom, this is on my mind, boom, this is like a straight
yeah,
shot. But now you have to really work on the tact aspect of the Marine Corps, which you don't really get, very much used to, because we didn't deal with higher ups very often,
yeah,
comparatively, and I never really, felt the need to hold back.
yeah,
So going on that now, I mean, that's another growing point as a human being, right? So I think that's the stage in life that I'm at, and I hope you're at right now too.
yeah, yeah. And I guess yeah, and to kind of just wrap all this up, I'm just like, all that being said, all the frustrations and the hiccups and stuff that we've had, and even finding things like cryptocurrency, or like for me, I do a lot of reading. It's kind of been my thing. Is what is some advice that you would give for someone, say like when we were in our shoes, when we had like 30 days left before we got out, or maybe someone who just got out and is looking for some sort of guidance, or maybe someone who's been out for a while and is still struggling, like besides like what we talk about, like picking up hobbies and staying in touch with and getting involved in like your community and like that veteran community, what are some other things that you feel like would be like that would suffice as great like advice?
So some advice that I would give, there's a couple pieces here, is one, pick a university. Whether or not you go for your degree, the GI Bill gives you free money for attending school.
Yeah, it's nice.
It doesn't even mean you have to like get an A in the class. Hell, you could fail the class. They still give you money.
Yeah,
So use that. Obviously, like, why not take a free degree when you got it? If that's not your route, the Marine Corps has a lot of options in your last 30 days to go out and do what is it? Skill trade? Skill
yeah,
sharing? I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
But
It's like
basically
the
they
trades.
pay
Yeah,
trade skills. Yeah. And they pay for you to go out to whatever company you want to work in and basically be an apprentice there, getting paid by both them and the Marine Corps at the same time. There's no reason why you shouldn't be using those opportunities. Another one that they don't really touch on is the VA home loan. Yeah, you have a couple classes on it, but if you just look up online what the actual like requirements are for a VA home loan, and you'll realize you can get some very, very good properties, even in California, for very cheap,
yeah,
with no zero down, low interest payments. So really be aware of the resources that are provided to you because you served your time. You
yeah.
did it. You completed your service. Reap the benefits, reap the rewards, even if that's not what you went in for.
Yes, that's probably some of the best advice I think I've heard, which I wholeheartedly agree with, is to reap the benefits, like know your resources, because even to this day, like I'm still a little like unaware of like everything that's almost like afforded to me now for being a veteran. Just like short little anecdote, I had a dude come in the other day and he had this like fucking American flag tattoo, and he had kick ass, and then kick ass was like written in like camo, and I was like, oh okay, this dude's obviously a fucking motard. And I was like, so you served? Yeah. He's like, I served in the army, blah blah. I'm working over here now. And I was wearing like my mask, and it had like the Buccaneers, and we were talking a little bit about sports. And he's like, yeah, he's like, there's a website where you can get like free tickets just for being a veteran. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, he's like, it's called VetTix, like VETTIX. It's called VetTix. He's like, you just, do like I think, what's it called? There's that one website that verifies the fact that you're a veteran and like applies it to all the retail websites. Oh
ID.me.
yeah, yeah, yeah. ID,
ID.me.
yeah, ID.me. And so you go do that route, and it's like, okay, like you're good. And it has a list of like not only like sporting events, but like ballets, like shows, like a bunch of different things in your area.
SeaWorld, Disney.
Yeah, that are like, hey, like there's, because these people buy these tickets, and then they donate them to this website for veterans and active duty people to get, kind of just, very like awesome thing. But like knowing just shit like that, like there's just a bunch of opportunities, not only like ones that are given through the VA and all that stuff, but like even through like private companies like this one, that's
Third
really,
party sites.
yeah,
Yeah.
third party sites. That's very beneficial, just to get out there and just really not to not to be too proud of being a veteran, because you're like, oh, like I don't need the
Exactly.
veteran discount. I don't need to do that. Like I don't have nothing left to prove. Don't be too proud to take advantage of the benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not. It's not supposed to be a form of pride, right? It's supposed to be. It's a benefit,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, and like that's kind of a shitty way to put it, but like, why not?
Yeah.
Because it's out there. The money. It's like not taking free money. Like the money is there for you.
Yeah.
Why not use it? Because if you don't, someone else
Exactly.
will.
Exactly. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's all really great advice. We'll wrap it up right here. Um, so well, here we are. You stuck with us all the way to the end. We thank you for listening. We want our listeners to know that if your
Thank
pack
you.
becomes too heavy, don't drop it. The Veteran Crisis Hotline can be reached at 1-800-273-8255. If you'd like to enjoy more content, don't forget to subscribe, simplify, and keep rolling on.
Rah.